Maybe I have something for you. Let me look around. You're gonna like this. It's a banana. Would monkey like banana?
Venomfangx, who, indicated by various reasons, is still around and is behind the website Let's Talk Christ, created an argument for the existence of God that, to my surprise, he still defends and still thinks is strong and correct. Does his argument hold up to objective scrutiny? The answer is no. Under analysis, his argument fails to prove God because it commits several logical fallacies.
So let's just try and figure out what always existed, because some people will simply say, okay, so if something always existed, then the universe, matter, time, and space has always existed, and we don't need to invoke the God into the equation.
The first reason Venomfangx's argument fails to prove the existence of God is that from 111 to 119, he commits a bare assertion fallacy. By defining the universe as only all of matter, time, and space, this is a favored definition by Christians because it allows them to more easily claim that the universe is not eternal because time, space, matter, and energy are contingent. The fallacy here is that a person has very good warrant to not define the universe in the manner favorable to Christians, but to define the universe as everything that exists. Everything that exists is equivalent to the totality of existence. And of course, the totality of existence is necessarily eternal, and one would then not need to invoke God into the equation. Venomfangx commits the fallacy of a bare assertion in his definition of the universe because he gives no reason or argument why we must take his definition of the universe as being all of matter, time, and space rather than the very supported definition of the universe being everything that exists. The fatal problem for his argument is, unless Venomfangx could give us a convincing and decisive reason why we have to take his definition of the universe over the other one, his argument fails before he gets off the ground, because the totality of existence is necessarily eternal, and thus the universe would satisfy his articulation of the something that has always existed and created everything that is created. And of course, he never did give any such reason in the video.
To claim the universe is eternal is to apply properties of infinity to the universe.
The second major failing in Venomfangx's video is that he makes the mistake between 131 and 137 of conflating eternal with infinite. He conflates and confuses the two as being one and the same when they are different. Something can be eternal yet not be infinite. The laws of logic are conceptually eternal, yet the laws of logic are not themselves infinite. The universe can be eternal yet not have properties of infinity applied. Not only does Venomfangx's claim that the universe being eternal applies properties of infinity to it commit a bare assertion fallacy, since he gives no reason why this is true but just asserts it unsupported, but he also covertly commits a special pleading fallacy, since he obviously thinks God is eternal yet obviously does not apply properties of infinity to God. His excuse is that God is not a quantitative infinity. The problem is, his video never makes the distinction between qualitative infinity and quantitative infinity, and he still never gives substantiation for how a qualitatively infinite thing such as God can obtain, without the logical contradictions that qualitative infinity entails.
And if we can show you that matter, time, and space could not be eternal or infinite, that means they are created by something that is not made of matter, time, and space, which would then have the properties of God, being immaterial, eternal, and omnipresent.
From 144 to 156, Venomfangx assures us that if he can show the universe as he defines it is not eternal, then this will prove God because the thing that created the universe would have the properties of God. This, of course, commits a non sequitur fallacy, which is very common for creationists. Proving evolution false does not prove creationism true. You still have to give validation for how the creationist paradigm started life and how it technically creates changes in organisms and taxonomy. Proving the universe, as Venomfangx defines it, is not eternal does not automatically and logically follow that God is true and real. He still has to prove God exists and validate how God technically created matter, time, and space. Without giving us technical explication for how God created matter, time, and space, his claim that God did so, which is supposed to show God exists to begin with, because what created matter, time, and space is the properties of God, is simply another bare assertion fallacy.
So something that always existed, that is invisible and untouchable, that is everywhere, created matter, time, and space. What does that sound like to you?
The last major fallacy that dooms Venomfangx's argument for the existence of God to failure is that from 611 to 615, Venomfangx implies that an invisible, untouchable, omnipresent, and immaterial being exists. This commits a reification fallacy, since Venomfangx is committing the error of treating as a real thing something which is not a real thing, but merely an idea. An invisible, untouchable, omnipresent, and immaterial being has no objective basis in reality, so it is not a real thing but merely an idea. You have to prove with empirical, observational, scientific, mathematical, or logical evidence that such a being is real and not just an abstraction that you have floated off from your imagination that you then, because of bias, are grafting on to reality at your whim. Venomfangx never does so, and thus his argument is guilty of the aforementioned reification fallacy. The logical argument he gives is fallacious. Saying the universe is not eternal under his definition, so an invisible, omnipresent, and immaterial being exists, does not cut it, since that's a non sequitur fallacy. Proving the eternality of the universe false does not prove invisible, untouchable, omnipresent, and immaterial beings true. Giving evidence that of the two people at a crime scene, one did not commit the crime does not logically prove the other one is guilty. Further evidence of that person's guilt of the crime committed must be proffered. For that reason and the other fallacies prior, Venomfangx's argument failed to prove the existence of God.